Hey there, everyone, and welcome back to Blessed Are the Geek. This is episode number 2. In this episode, I'm going to sit down with Marty Estes. He is one of the Nintendo Dads. The Nintendo Dads have been a great Nintendo-based podcast, a big fan podcast that's been going on for, probably about 2 years now at the time of the recording, maybe a little bit longer. But they are one of the biggest podcasts in Nintendo, the Nintendo world. So if you like Nintendo even half as much as I do, you'll probably appreciate listening to them. And they always do a lot of fun stuff. So they do some After Dark episodes where they talk about movies and do some movie reviews sometimes. They do a video game monthly where everyone in their group and everyone who listens to them all plays the same game for a month. And then they come back and talk about that game and review that game and, basically have a podcast just about that one game. But, they have a weekly podcast that comes out every Wednesday where they talk about news, rumors, anything else Nintendo. And it's great. So if you haven't checked it out, go check out Nintendo Dads. It's a great podcast. And without further ado, episode number 2, where we talk about Lego. Hey everybody, this is our second episode of Blessed Are the Geek podcast. Last episode we sat down with Adam Butterick. We talked about Breath of the Wild, which was a lot of fun. Today we've got a super special guest. We've got Marty Estes from the Nintendo Dads podcast. What's up, Marty?
Not much. What about you, man?
I am enjoying my few minutes of graceful solitude while my son is in pre-K.
Oh, yeah. Take them where you can get them.
Every time, man. But anyway, the point of this podcast is to sit down and talk to people about their fandoms, things that they're into, because I love when people get super passionate and their eyes light up about the thing that they talk about. If you've ever heard or watched me talk about Nintendo, I become a different entity altogether. So we want to talk to Marty today. Your topic is
Lego.
All
things Lego. I love Legos.
So
I love the games. I love Legos themselves, and of course I love the Lego movie, and most recently the Lego Batman movie.
So apparently Vader is going to join us during this podcast. He's voicing his opinion as well. So I used to play with Lego a lot at my friend's place when I was growing up because they had this giant bin of just random Legos. And so what we would do as kids is we would actually spend 3 days building a small army. We'd build a pirate ship or super all-terrain vehicles that had wings and propellers and wheels and everything, and we just build up this thing, and then one day we would just go to town and just destroy each other's bases and that kind of thing. But ever since then I've kind of fallen out of touch with Lego. So let's start with the beginning for you. What got you into Lego?
Well, my story is actually the opposite of yours. I hated Legos as a kid because they weren't Transformers, and they weren't He-Man, and they weren't GoBots.
No Power Rangers.
No, you know what? I'm going to give a popular opinion here. I don't like Power Rangers.
Oh boy. Okay.
And well, let's be fair. Power Rangers came along when I was, I believe, I was either in 8th or 9th grade, and that just was not my thing. So I was already fully given over to video games, and so Power Rangers coming in at that time was kind of well, I don't watch shows like that anymore. I wasn't even watching cartoons really at the time because I felt like I was older and I was more mature and I was playing video games, So I've never really gotten into it. Now my kids like it, they watch it, but it's not something that they just rush around to watch all the time. But getting back to Lego, did not actually get into liking Legos until the video games came along.
Okay.
So there is a video game connection there. And the first Lego game that I ever played was the Star Wars Lego games that came out for the prequels. Which at the time picking those up was just kind of like, oh, this is neat. It's Star Wars, but it's made out of Legos.
Right. That's cute.
Really didn't have any clue, honestly, did not have any clue that there were Star Wars Legos in the Lego section at the local store. I just thought it was like this interesting mashup, but of course, eventually, kind of found out about it, and I was like, well, that's kind of lame, because the only real experience that I had with Legos as a kid was either like yours, playing in a bin of Legos, which was overwhelming to me,
right,
or getting a set and not being able to follow the directions and just getting frustrated with it and throwing it in the toy bin.
Right.
And even just little sets. I was probably way too little for them when they were bought, and it just kind of soured me on the experience. So Lego Star Wars became, hey, they're making a Lego Harry Potter game. Because my wife really loves Harry Potter. I really love Harry Potter, and that was something we could play together. Because she's not a huge video gamer, and so anything where I could say, hey, you can't really die.
Yeah.
She's all about that. So Lego Harry Potter became the original trilogy, which became Lego Indiana Jones, and on and on and on till today, which I just picked up.
Lego City Undercover.
Started recording here. Lego City Undercover for the Switch, which is actually the second time I've purchased this game, because I also own it for the Wii U as well.
Which, by the way, as a quick aside, like mini review, I heard it's actually really good.
This is Lego Grand Theft Auto.
Right. But reverse. You're the cops.
That's the best way that I know to describe it.
Yeah.
Everything, minus the murder and prostitution, everything you can do.
Dang it. Got to take the best parts away.
But I mean, like, the whole expansive open world, tons of being able to switch into, like, there's 100 vehicles. Your character changes in different disguises, and the way that you use those disguises affects your abilities and all kinds of different things like that. So
sure,
totally a cool little pickup. It is $60 though, so if you're like not really into Lego games,
when you could get the same game on 3DS for $40.
I have played both versions. The 3DS version is a prequel to this.
Oh, right, that's right.
But it's also extremely limited.
Okay.
If you're going to spend money, buy this.
Gotcha.
But I rented the 3DS version from GameFly, and I'm so glad that I never bought it. It's actually a Nintendo Select title right now, so it's $20.
Oh, okay.
So it's gone down. So eventually moved off of the games, and a few years ago.
Well, hang on before we get there.
Yeah.
I just want to dive into my short experience with the Lego games. I first started playing a Lego game with Lego Batman. Like, I think that was the OG Lego game, if I remember correctly. And I played that a little bit, and I liked the snarkiness of it, but there's something about the Lego games that are different than, like, any other regular game, Like, there's something about the overworld that, like, didn't click with me. So it was years later. That was on, like, Xbox 360. And so years later, a couple years ago, I bought Marvel Lego Superheroes. And again, first level, when you're in the train station with Sandman, there's not anything really, like, highlighted, like, hey, you're supposed to do this. Like, even to this day, like, I've played that level 3 times, and I'm like, I can't even right now remember what I'm supposed to do. I know you're supposed to get him wet, but how is, like, super confusing to me. So like, I tried to play with my wife, and what I do love about Marvel Superhero, and I don't know if any other Lego game does this, is the way that it handles split screen. How it, like, rotates depending on where your character is.
That is a relatively new implement into Lego games, because split screen used to be straight up and down.
No. I like that 3D thing.
Somewhere along Lego Batman 2, I believe, is when they integrated that rotating, or kind of just whatever it needs to be. Split screen.
I think it works so well.
Before that, it was super frustrating. Especially one of the things that, and I'll tell you this: what you need to do is you need to go back and you need to play the game with the number one philosophy in Lego games: break everything, punch everything. Even if it takes you an hour to get through a level, punch everything, literally hit everything. Because what is going to happen is you're going to have stuff that's going to break. You're going to have stuff that's going to fall apart, and you're going to use that to build something else. But one of the gripes I think that people have about those games quite often is there's no direction. There's not like they drop you into this level and there's enemies and stuff running around. And it's like chaos is everywhere. What do I do first?
Yeah.
And one of the things I like about these games is it is kind of formulaic, but it also kind of feels like a puzzle. It's not all just about fighting.
Sure.
It's not, you're going to use rudimentary problem solving. It's not going to be, you're not going to walk around going, oh man, I cannot figure out that Lego game.
Right.
But in recent games like the Avengers and Lego Dimensions and others, it has offered some helps that have been a little bit better. But I think that's one thing that that WB and Traveler's Tales is probably getting a little bit better at as time goes. And you'll notice that they have evolved over time. When you first started playing Lego, when I first started playing Lego games with Star Wars, it was basically tell the plot point of the movie or of that part of the movie with no vocals, no voice acting,
right?
No nothing. Now they've moved into a place where they're just lifting lines directly from the games,
right,
or directly from the movies, which is really cool. But I think in a way what that's done is it's watered down that snarky sense of humor, because I feel like that's kind of lost them a touch. One of the things about Lego City Undercover is that this is the first Lego game that has ever really been made that is their own property.
Sure.
They're not really working off, Star Wars or Harry Potter or Indiana Jones or whatever's out there, so they've got the ability to kind of strike out on their own. Lego City Undercover is funny. Yeah. And there's some moments where just unexpected stuff happens, just like the old Lego games for no reason, even though it does have voice acting and it's well done. But the newer games have just lost a little bit of that charm. I love Marvel. I loved Lego Marvel Superheroes. I thought it was fantastic, and I thought the way they integrated the entire Marvel universe, or most of it, into that was really good. I would love to see another one of those, but even kind of, I don't guess I want to call them niche games, but like Indiana Jones is not as well known. Like the Lego Indiana Jones is not as widely regarded as Star Wars or Marvel.
Sure.
Or Harry Potter.
I mean, they didn't even make all three of them, did they?
They did. The original one had the I think the first two or the first three, and then they did a Lego Indiana Jones 2, which collected all of them, including Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. However, I never played that one because I've always thought that Lego Indiana Jones was just not the greatest one. Like it was some parts of it, like especially like the mechanics of some of the characters' abilities and stuff, just felt really clunky.
Sure. And
just didn't work. So, but on the other hand, you've got games like Lego Batman 3, which pretty much should have just been Lego Justice League, just to be honest, which was fun. I mean, it was good, but they also did a Lego Star Wars 3, which we bought and never finished, which covered the Clone Wars.
Interesting.
And I wasn't really interested in that. I don't know. This is just that didn't reach out and grab me like the others did. But while we're on the subject and talking about video games, the rumor is that Lego Dimensions is canceled.
Yeah, and I gotta say, because that's the other experience I've had with a Lego game, is Dimensions, and
did you play it on the Wii U?
Yes. Okay,
well, I feel sorry for you.
Yeah,
because I'm there too.
We went to GameStop the one day they had like a massive sale on Dimensions. Like, we spent $100, like almost even, and got the whole starter pack and 3 extra little kits. So like we got a really good deal on it. Mm-hmm. We brought it home. We waited until our son went to bed because otherwise he would have just made a mess of things. And then her and I played the tutorial, like the Batcave level.
Yeah.
And we got to a point where we were like, okay, we've done everything and nothing is happening. So we ran around the Batcave, and again, like you said, broke everything. Literally everything. We broke everything. Nothing was happening. So I finally like stopped, looked it up. We had encountered a glitch in the game, and we had to restart the game and do the tutorial all over again.
And do the entire level again.
She has not picked it up again. And I haven't either. It broke it for both of us. And just by having that one experience.
I hate that because that's super unfortunate. But let's talk reality. That happens a lot in Lego games. I don't know why.
Which is
I don't know if they just don't know how to work those bugs out. But they've literally been happening since Star Wars. There is always a point in a game where something will happen and it won't trigger the next thing that happens, and you'll just be sitting there.
See, for me, that
one of the ways they've combated that in later games has been the implementation of save points when you walk into a new point of a level.
Sure.
But if you are at the end of that section and it's taken you 45 minutes to break everything and find everything, and you've searched every nook and cranny, all of a sudden
and we've spent extra time looking for all this crap.
Yep. And you've gotten all the mini kits and the characters and blah 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 and all that, and then it freezes up and you have to do it all over again.
Yep. And I'm the kind of person where if I play a game, and because I did this with I Am Setsuna recently, I just got that on the Switch, and have you played that yet on the Switch?
I have it for PS4.
Okay,
and
you're aware.
I got about 7 hours into it and didn't pick it up again. I mean, I want to play it. I feel like I'd play it more on the Switch because it is portable.
Well, so
I don't have the time in my life right now, unfortunately, to do a lot of sit down console gaming.
In front of the TV. Right.
So the Switch has been so perfect for that. So I'll probably get it again at some point, but Zelda.
Right. Sure. But there is a point at the beginning of I Am Setsuna where there's like a tutorial thing, and there's like a mini boss you fight in the tutorial, and you save right before that, fight the mini boss. Then there's like a really boring cutscene where he's walking through the forest, and it like plays the intro credits, and then you have to go to the city. First you go to a first city, and then overworld, and the next city, and they're like, oh, you have to go find the sacrifice. So then you go through the woods, fight more monsters, find the sacrifice, come back to the city, and then there's a boss fight. I did all of that 3 times because I died, and there was no save point prior to that, and I didn't know that you could save in the overworld. And
just a little thing that would pop up at the bottom that would say,
that's all I would need. Seriously,
press
just a little
X
thing
to save.
Just a little thing.
Press X to open your menu and click save. Or if it would just institute mandatory saves.
Right.
You know,
I about didn't pick that game up again because my point is that like it
is a fun game.
If I have to repeat anything at all, like my interest in doing that drops. It just plummets. Like I have zero. Sure. Even if it was Breath of the Wild, like if I started that game, like if I got a review copy and I played 20 hours and then that save got deleted, I may not even play that game. Like,
I kind of feel that way too, and I was kind of thinking about, like the nightmare scenario. What happens if my Switch breaks and I'm not beating Breath of the Wild and I've put 50 hours into it? So glad that I've finished that game now. I'm pretty confident in the fact that right now, if something catastrophic happened and I had to send in my Switch and they didn't get my save data off of it, that I would be content in letting it rest.
Because it would take a lot for you to have to get back into it.
Basically, what I would do is I'd go to YouTube and look up the memories I haven't found, and then I'd watch the real ending, and then I'd be done.
There you go. So anyway,
and that's the reality of gaming that we live in now. We can do that.
It's so frustrating.
It's feast or famine. I think it's frustrating because you can be spoiled, but it's also good because if you do get to a point where you can't figure something out, you can see somebody do it. Which I did that with the shrine. Like I know this solution works. I know it will work, but I can't make it work. Just I need to see somebody do this so I know I'm not just crazy.
Right.
Then they did it, and I was like, okay, so I know I'm on the right path.
Listening to you guys talk about the one with the bowls and the water was kind of funny because I was like. I did it the right with air quotes the right way. I did it the right way the first time.
I hadn't done it yet, and then I found it after that. Like I found it like the 2 nights after that episode, and I was like, okay, I know what to do now.
Yeah.
The one I'm talking about is there's a I don't know, this is a huge deviation from what we're talking about. There's a shrine up in the mountains near the Rito village where you have to stasis a lantern in mid swing over a pile of leaves so that you can shoot it with an arrow to drop it down and burn the leaf pile up to the door, which will burn the
is that what you were supposed to do? I had like a flame blade, and I just went.
Well, if you have flame blade or you have fire arrows, it's perfectly easy. But who had nothing? This guy. Nope. I had to do it the hard way. Magnesis, let it swing. Stasis, hope it hits right. Arrow.
See, again, to
and
finalize,
I love that there's so many ways you can do that.
I would like to do a run through of all the shrines and only use the Sheikah Sleep.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so
but anyway, let's talk about Lego.
So yeah, actual Lego building blocks. So what was the transition there from the game to the building blocks? Did you see that there were Star Wars Legos in the aisle, and you're like, oh shit, I should have been buying these?
Yeah, actually, that's exactly what happened. Like when I was a kid let me parallel this with another story.
Okay.
When I was a kid, I could not have given a flying fart in a whirlwind that Star Wars was a thing. It did not.
You and I
me.
would not have been friends.
Like I thought it was stupid.
Oh, you
like,
and I would not have been friends.
I would go to the store and I was like, "What is this crap? It's near my Transformers. Get it away!" I was totally that 80s kid who
to be fair, I was the kid that was like, Transformers is retarded. Like,
okay, see, okay, so you and I are two sides of the same coin, and the coin's called addiction. So like I would go into. I have this very distinct memory of walking into a Hills department store in the 80s. Do you remember Hills?
I don't think so.
It was. They went out of business somewhere in the mid 80s, but so this should tell you I was born in 1980. I have this very, very distinct memory of walking.
You have almost 10 years on me.
Walking into the toy section at Hills, looking at Transformers, and getting ready to buy one of those, and there was this little boy behind me, and there was a Jabba the Hutt playset. I think from Return of the Jedi, and he was trying to steal Jabba the Hutt out of the box. And this was back, when toys didn't have safety ties and all that junk.
On his way out the door, the lady was like, "Is that Jabba the Hutt in your pants? Or are you happy to see me?"
No, she actually this very sweet older worker came around the corner as he's doing it, not even hiding it, and's like, "You can't do that."
Oh man.
He was like, he took off running, and I was, shrugged my shoulders, and everything. But that was like, so as a kid, I didn't really like Legos. I didn't really like Star Wars. I had not even seen Star Wars until I was a teenager. And one day my dad walks in with the original trilogy VHS set.
Yeah, that's which, by the way, historically, that is the way to watch that movie.
Absolutely. And
Screw any sort of HD remake or remaster. No, you go find yourself not even the gold box remake VHS.
No, this was the silver box.
Yes, go find regular VHS box. Okay.
And it may have even been the it may have not been the silver box. It may have been like the black one with the star background.
Oh Lord.
Where like
you
the
lucky son of a gun.
Well, yeah, I know, and I don't have it. I don't know where it's at. So anyway, he bought me those just on a whim. He's like, "Yeah, I saw these at Walmart and I thought you might like them. You like spaceships and robots,
robots."
I don't know that he said robots, but that's in my mind. That's what I'm imagining.
It's a great Futurama reference.
So I sat down and watched it, and I was just blown away. But but it still didn't take. Like, it still didn't really take. So fast forward to my wife and I dating, being together in 2001.
Oh, I hope you say what I had to say to my wife.
Okay,
but I'm gonna let you finish.
99. Phantom Menace came out.
Okay.
2001, Attack of the Clones comes out, right?
Was
it about that time?
Much to everyone's chagrin, yes.
Well,
it was around that time.
So 2001. So I was actually graduating from college, or maybe it was 2002, because it had to be, because we weren't dating. We weren't dating in 2001, so it had to be 2002. And she takes me to Attack of the Clones. Yeah, she takes me to Attack of the Clones as a graduation present. And then, we are in youth ministry and doing ministry at a church, and all the kids want to go see Revenge of the Sith.
Mm-hmm.
And so we take them, we all load them up on a bus, and we all go and see, you know, the birth of Darth Vader and all that stuff. And somewhere right around that time, it clicked.
That this is a horrible prequel franchise.
No. Like, I don't like the prequels. Now, don't get me wrong.
Nobody does.
I don't really like the prequels, but there's something in that whole time frame right there that it clicked. I love Star Wars. Like, I love it. And even like, and I'll tell you when it really clicked, Chris, was when we went to see, and I loved them before, don't get me wrong, but we went to see The Force Awakens, and my daughter walked out of the theater and she was like, I love Rey. And just watching her, like, you know, watching Star Wars through the eyes of a child is really where it clicked. So let's scrub back to 2012. Okay, so 2012, 2013, I moved into a new job. We did our first year's tax, prep and all that stuff, and got a pretty nice refund.
Sure.
And so, what do you do when you get a tax refund? Well, you go out and you blow some of it.
That's right. Every time.
So, left the tax prep place and immediately went across the road to Walmart and was like, what can I buy? So I'm walking along, and there in my Walmart in the middle of the aisle is an entire spread of clearance stuff, and there's one Red 5 X-Wing.
Oh.
$50.
What?
I was like, and it's the one with Luke Skywalker and R2-D2, and I was like, you know
for
what?
reference, that's normally like what, 80, 90 or something like that?
It's probably an $89.99 cost. Because I think Poe's X-Wing was that, either 79 or 89.
Yeah.
So yeah, they had it on pretty good clearance. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy it. I'm just gonna try it. I've always wanted to put together an advanced Lego set. Why not let it be Star Wars? Because I can't do it with Transformers. I can't do it with Nintendo. I can't do it with any other things I'm into. So I decided to do that, and came back with it, and immediately fell in freaking love with Legos. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, like there was just this part of my brain, hallelujah, this thing. And so from there, like, I progressed, and I was like, well, if I've got an X-Wing,
I'm gonna need a TIE fighter.
Exactly. I was like, I really need a TIE fighter. And so,
oh man.
Then like what I would start doing is I would start watching Lego sets at my local Walmart, which has really good clearance most of the time on these things. And I found, I was like, oh, there's the A-Wing with Admiral Akbar for $9. Sure.
Wow.
Let's buy that. And then my birthday came around, and it was like, what do you want for your birthday? And I said, I think I might like a Millennium Falcon. Because I've got the X-Wing and I've got the TIE Fighter. I really need the Millennium Falcon. And I'm only going to do original trilogy ships, and I'm only going to do,
And then your wife said, okay, well, let's calculate another mortgage on the house so we can get you that Millennium Falcon. Which, by the way, just for anybody listening who is not into Lego, this crap is expensive. I mean, to be fair,
it's the Apple toys.
To be fair, I once had somebody tell me, like, one of my first jobs ever as a teenager, it told me there is no, and it's true, there is no such thing as a cheap hobby.
No
such thing. I mean,
they are so smart.
Musical instruments, model trains. I used to sell model trains at a hobby store. Why those are so much money, I will never understand. Anyway, Lego is no exception. That must be like the initial reason for the rule, is because Lego is, even the tiny ones that, like, so I have this sitting here. I actually got this for free. This is like a little Grand Prix setup. It's tiny.
I guarantee you, if you bought that in the store, I can quote you a price.
Yeah,
$12.95.
Oh man, you're being modest, man. I would have said easily,
it depends
like
on how many
$20.
pieces. Yeah, 20. I would say between 12 and 20.
Yeah,
it depends on the number of pieces.
And again, for people who are listening, this is 3 inches tall by 4 inches wide.
You can literally hold that in the palm of your hand.
Literally, yeah. Like the NES Classic is bigger than this. So
the crazy thing about that is that Lego set is actually less rare than the NES Classic. You can probably still find those in stores. So Yeah, you're right, and I do want to say that, like, I don't know, are you going to be putting this out on video as well?
No, it's just audio
Oh, you're not?
podcast.
Okay,
Yeah.
so right here behind my head that you can see, Chris.
Yes, I
Up
can.
on
I've
the
been eyeing
shelf
it the whole
is
time.
the Lego sand crawler that came out a few years ago. That
Which is-
you're not going to see these in Target or Walmart or something because they're $300.
Wow. Which, by the way,
it-
for anybody who doesn't know what that is in Star Wars. I think they only made an appearance in the original A New Hope.
It's only in A New Hope,
Right, and it's the Jawa
like,
sand ship that looks like a pen.
it looks like a toaster with treads on the bottom of it.
Yeah.
Like a toaster with treads. But a few years ago, like actually 2 or 3 years ago, my teenagers here at the church and my student ministry pooled their money and bought that for me for my birthday.
Wow.
There's no way that I would be able to buy that on my own.
Marty, nobody loves me that much.
Well,
You are a lucky man.
I know I am.
Nobody
I know,
loves me that
I know
much.
I'm completely. So Star Wars, I was like, I'm just going to stick to Star Wars Legos, right? And then I see that they make Marvel Legos, and I was like, oh man, I'm not going to buy any Marvel Legos.
Did you?
Oh,
This is
man,
the same
there's-
conversation in Self Battle you had when Amiibo started coming out, right?
It's right. Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
God.
I'm not going to buy all those Amiibos. I'm not going to buy the whole Smash.
I only
line.
want the ones I
I'm just-
want. I only
I'm
want the
just gonna get
Zelda.
Mario. I'm just gonna get Mario and Kirby and Pikachu because the son wants Pikachu and I want Mario and he likes Kirby too. Oh gosh, Marth is rare. I gotta buy Marth. I gotta buy Wii Fit Trainer. I gotta
I
buy
don't even know
Village.
who Villager is, but he's impossible to find, so I have to have one. Ugh.
Yeah. I gotta import this one from Japan.
Oh, God.
Which is the same thing I did with Transformers back in the day. It's repeating itself. So I was like, I'm not going to buy Marvel. Oh man, that $90 Quinjet's $45 on clearance.
Holy
I'm going to
cow,
buy that.
dude.
So the original Marvel movie or Avengers movie Quinjet,
Yeah.
I got it for $5.
Oh my. Wait, how much?
and it- $45.
Oh, I thought you said 5.
No, 45.
45.
It came with and at that time I was still kind of like, okay, it's got to come with the right minifigures, right? I was very upset it didn't come with Captain America, but it had Thor and Loki and Black Widow and one of those like Chitauri guys.
That's a weird
and-
selection.
Yeah,
I would think that
yeah,
Nick
it kinda
Fury
is.
would have been in there.
It didn't come with Nick Fury. It also didn't come with the Hulk or anything else. So like,
That's
what
weird.
I did was as releases came out, I would kind of cherry pick, and I would say, okay, well, I've already got a Thor, so I don't want to buy this, even though the Hulk's in there, or anything. And I'm to this day, I've never bought anything with Hawkeye. I just there's a little locally owned mom and pop Lego store about an hour and a half from here called Bricks and Minifigs,
Oh, cool.
and they sell. Like they have just cases of minifigures.
Nice.
So I will go and buy those. Like that's how I got BB-8. That's how I got, because I didn't want to buy another X-wing.
What do they
or I
sell
didn't
the
want to buy
minifigs
another
for?
Millennium Falcon. I mean it depends on the rarity. I mean they're in that trade.
Oh, so
of-
they're knowledgeable of it, and
They're very knowledgeable. Oh, absolutely. But I mean, this is a place where literally you can come in and say, I don't want this Lego set anymore. I want to trade it in. It's the GameStop of Legos.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so they'll offer you store credit or cash for a set, and then they will turn around and sell it
Nice.
if it's complete. So from there, I'm just looking around my office now. An X-wing and a TIE fighter and a Millennium Falcon became an A-wing, and a smaller Millennium Falcon and a snow speeder and an AT-AT, and the Emperor and Luke and Darth Vader scene, set
Yeah.
from the end of Return of the Jedi.
I tell you which
And-
one. I only have a handful, but I have the A-wing with Akbar.
So good.
Akbar
It's
and
so
Han
good.
Solo, I believe, came with that one.
I think so. Yeah, I think you're right. It comes with 4 minifigures. It's like, and look, here's the thing. What people need to realize is this: when you buy a Lego set, it's not the bricks that are driving the price; it's the minifigures.
Really?
I really believe so because a lot of times, like we have a local. I don't know if you have stores like this in your local town, like Dirt Cheap, or they're like. If a store gets damaged goods or something, they can sell it for a minor price to these
Or like
stores
an
who
overstock
buy.
outlet.
Yeah, like they buy pallets of overstock
Sure,
or damaged goods, and they
We
turn around
just
and
got
sell
one.
them.
When I lived up in
yeah.
Murfreesboro, we had 3 places called Bargain Hunt.
Yeah, Bargain Hunt, Essex.
Yes,
it's something like that. So,
dude.
So we have one.
Anytime I had an extra 20 minutes, I went into Essex every time.
Yeah. So we have Dirt Cheap. We have 2 of those around here, and I've gotten some amazing Lego deals at Dirt Cheap.
Yeah.
I'll let my cat out of the bag. That's where you go. But like what you have to do is you have to be knowledgeable enough of Lego to be able to walk in, maybe take a pocket knife with you and slit the box open where it's been taped back and see if somebody's stolen the minifigures out, because that's what happens every time. People will go and they will buy a set at Walmart. This happened to me with the Star Wars Rebels tie advance that the Inquisitor came with.
Yeah.
Which was the whole reason I wanted it.
The Inquisitor is the Star Destroyer.
The kid with the spinning. No, the Inquisitor is the Star Destroyer, but the Inquisitor, the Sith Inquisitor, is the character in Star Wars Rebels that had the spinning lightsaber.
Oh, okay.
Like dual lightsaber. That's why I want it, and it's like the prototype of Vader's tie.
Oh, okay.
From Rebels. So anyway, which by the way, I'm a huge Star Wars Rebels fan, and pretty much every set that's come out under the Rebels brand, right, I've bought. Just because I love that story. I love those characters. But anyway. So I went and bought the tie advanced at my local Walmart, got it home, no Inquisitor figure. And basically what somebody had done is they'd heated up the tape enough to get inside, open the flap, slit the bag, get the Inquisitor figure out, and then turn it back and say, oh, yeah, by the way, it didn't have all the pieces in the bag. And Walmart gives you a full refund. And, man, when I talk about dirtbag scalpers who do that, that's ridiculous.
And they turn around and sell the figure for so what?
Sell the figure for $30 on
$30.
I mean, or sell the figure for whatever on eBay. You get what I'm saying? Like sell it for
that's outrageous.
A ridiculous amount of money on eBay. Nobody's buying sets. Like I'm just gonna say that. Like I mean, people are buying ships and they're buying the popular stuff, like the TIE Fighter or something. People might buy that, but people are buying the minifigures. They want Vader. They want Obi-Wan Kenobi. They want stuff like the Sandcrawler that I got has an exclusive Uncle
Ben.
Yeah, no, his uncle that he lives
Uncle
with.
Owen. Sorry.
Uncle Owen. It has Jawas. It
Uncle
has
Ben is a different franchise.
Yeah, it's the rice as well. And so you can't get those anywhere else. You have to buy those sets.
Yeah.
For the longest time, the only C-3PO I had was one that like they sell the minifigures on a keychain, but they have like a little hole in their head where they've screwed a thing into, and I literally got it home and took pliers to the top of C-3PO's head and pulled the keychain out.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to spend literally $45 for a C-3PO minifigure.
That's outrageous, dude.
Seriously, like I recently got into the Lego Batman line where I don't want to buy the sets. Like I don't want the vehicles because if you could see my office right now, I'm out of room. I don't need
the Bowser Jr. amiibo. I don't need the Peach amiibo.
Right.
And yet they're still in a box.
Yeah, they're in actually a three Tupperware bin next to my TV.
Yep.
I don't want the vehicles, but I want the minifigures. I want the characters.
Yeah.
Okay. So they did a blind bag set for the Lego Batman movie, and I just about drove myself crazy and broke trying to get it.
Yeah.
And like the last 4 of them, you know what I did? I just bought them on Amazon. I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not spending $5 a pop. But it was like the ones that are packed rare. It was like Harley Quinn and Joker.
Sure. And so you are sort of skirting around something that, again, I don't collect minifigs. But I did, like we've been saying, I did collect the amiibo. And for people like us that go around, and now there's the world of Nintendo figures that I'm sort of kind of pseudo collecting.
Yep.
It's not about getting it and taking it home and having it. It is about the hunt, and it's not always fun. It's not always rewarding, but it and sometimes you do break down, and sometimes you are like, screw it, I'm gonna just buy this stupid thing on eBay for an extra $15. But that means that I'm not driving around to 4 different Toys R Us's and a mom and pop shop an hour and a half away. But for us that go out and find these collectible things, there is a little bit in your brain that is about the hunt for it.
Oh, I don't think it's a little bit. I'm just going to be honest with you. Now let me, and I say that as someone who used to have a Transformer collection that numbered over 1,200.
That's ridiculous, dude.
Okay, and I mean, like, I had like all the original ones from the 1980s,
Yeah, yeah.
and had gone back and bought them
The
either as
die-cast metal
reissued.
ones, like
Yeah,
the
either as
aluminum ones.
either as reissues, or I had them as from a kid, or I got them at a
Right.
convention. But the thing is that that was my life. Like, we did not pass a town without stopping at Walmart or Toys R Us or a Target. We would hunt. We would drive specific ways on to get to places because it was about the hunt. And that's really what it was. It wasn't like I'd buy the thing and I'd be like, "Oh, this is cool," But
Right.
then all of a sudden, it's like, well, um, I got the thing. It's here. It's done. It's on my shelf. It looks cool, but it was really about the excitement of, is it going to be there or is it not?
Sure, sure.
Is
And,
it?
and having it on your shelf is a little bit of a trophy to yourself of like, hey, I hunted it down and I found it.
Yeah, yeah. I think it was 9 bookshelves in my house that were full
outrageous,
of
dude.
9 5-shelf bookshelves of Transformers, including, and I'm talking about the top was full
Sure,
too.
of course.
And like, I think it's like the compulsion with like Amiibo even has been like, I keep telling myself I'm just going to buy the Smash set. Like, I'm just going to finish. I've got all of them. I'm just going to finish out these last 3. I'm going to get Bayonetta. I'm going to get Corrin. I'm going to get
You
Cloud.
mean the last 4?
Oh yeah, the last 4. And if it's female Corrin or if it's whatever, I'm
Apparently,
only
there was some data mine recently that said
Yeah.
that confirmed it.
I
But,
saw that, and trust me, I'll only be buying one. And I don't have, and look, I don't count the Mii fighters as part of the Smash one, so because I'm never buying those,
Well,
never, never buying. I'm sorry, I don't care if. I will say this: if Toys R Us put them on like clearance for $5 for the 3-pack, yeah. I'd buy
see,
'em.
that's what I'm doing. I hate to again break an aside real quick, but
Oh,
I really want the new Breath of the Wild amiibo.
uh-huh.
I have the Guardian because like day one, I have to have that Guardian. That thing is freaking awesome. I have to have that one.
Yeah.
I don't have any of the other ones because I know that in a month and a half, all of them are going to be $6.
I was weak.
Nah, man. Like, how much
And
is
I
that
lost
Lottie
off.
amiibo now? The Lottie is like
My gosh, Lottie.
$2.
I
everywhere,
I'm gonna
which
tell
was
you,
an exclusive Target amiibo, by the
there's
way.
absolutely no compulsion at all to buy to collect Animal Crossing amiibo.
Nope. I bought
I have
a few.
a few
I'll
of
admit
them.
it.
I have the cards, but I have no compulsion.
I was just
It's
thinking
kind
today
of,
about how I
but
need to
like,
turn around and sell those cards.
thing about Lego though is that I can't be that type of collector with Lego, and it's simply for the reason that I don't have the room. Because if anybody who collects Lego will tell you, there's a footprint
Mm-hmm.
with these things. It takes up quite a bit. And so I've reached my limit in my office currently,
Mm-hmm.
except for like small sets, like the microfighters and everything else.
Sure.
But none of those really interest me. In fact,
They look kind of dumb.
the whole time, I've got a few of them. They're actually kind of cool.
Okay.
Like the Millennium Falcon and the Star Destroyer, and there's a turbo tank one that's pretty cool.
Sure.
And I like them because they come with a minifigure too.
Okay.
So you get the minifigure if you don't have Han Solo, or if you don't
See,
have
I
Hera,
thought
or
they
you-
looked dumb because the minifigure was far
It's almost like
disproportional to
they're
the actual
sitting on top of it like a go-kart,
Yes.
which I think is kind of funny. You've got this like teeny tiny Star Destroyer, and a guy's sitting on top of it like
Right.
you
Go
know,
kart.
throwing a
Star
banana
Wars
peel
cart.
behind him. Oh, Star Wars Lego kart. There you go. There you go. There's
Make it
the
happen.
idea.
Make
Make
it
it.
happen, Warner Brothers.
No, the thing about Legos that I've kind of noticed in collecting them is that I kind of have a rule, all right, and it is it really cool? Which to a lot of them I say yes, they are really cool. Does it look, number two? Does it look like it would be fun to build? Like,
So that
does
was
it look like it's going to be a tedious build, or does it look like it's going to be fun?
that was going to be one of my questions to you in the near future, and I'll get back to that in a second. So go ahead.
Number three, do I have room for it? Which, as of right now, number 3 is stopping me from purchasing anything. And number 4, is it on clearance? I very rarely pay full price for Legos, simply because I can play the waiting game. Now, I live in a fairly small town of about 7,000. So I can play the waiting game a little bit more than some people can. Now, there's going to be some sets that never go on clearance. But if I wanted to, right now, I could go buy like the TIE Striker from Rogue One for $50. That's a $79 set.
Oh, okay.
I could go right now and buy I'm talking about, this is at my Walmart right now.
Yeah, yeah.
I could go buy the Force Awakens Millennium Falcon for $100 instead of $150.
That's
They because they get a lot of these bigger sets and then they don't sell. There's a Clone Wars turbo tank that looks incredibly awesome.
right.
That was $119 when it came out. It's $89 right now.
Ugh.
So, I'm never going to pay especially bigger sets. Now, some of the smaller sets I might grab, and get just because hey, that's cool. Like the Boba Fett and Han and the Ugnaught, the carbon freezing chamber set.
Yeah, yeah.
I picked it up but it was $24. So I picked it up, but I'm not gonna my limit kind of is $40. If it's over that, then I'm gonna cool it. I'm gonna wait a little bit.
Yep.
And I'm gonna be patient. And I'm gonna see if it goes down. And then even if it goes down, I'm gonna stand there for a minute. I'm gonna ask myself, is this really something I want? Because my two passions, I guess, for Lego are really Marvel Legos and Star Wars Legos. Now I've picked up some of the Lego movie sets.
Okay.
I've got a couple of those. One of them just because it was an insane discount. It was the bad cop police thing that they fly around in.
Yeah.
It was nuts. It came with 5 or 6 minifigures. So I was sold.
Yeah.
The double couch, got it. The Constructo Mech, just because it's fun.
Right.
And that was probably the one I spent the most on. But I've also got some of the Ideas series. I've got the Doctor Who set, the Beatles set, Ghostbusters, and Wall-E.
Yeah.
And I've paid for all of those except for Doctor Who and Beatles, which are gifts.
Oh, nice.
But I never paid more than retail. Even if that's because those sometimes can get rare. Wall-E got really rare for a while because it's a super fun build and it's super cool to have this giant Lego Wall-E sitting there. I waited. I could play the waiting game on that. Most sets, and I say most sets I've found are not going to fly out the door and never come back.
Right.
But just, for those of you who are listening and you're thinking, hey, this might be something I'd like to get into, for me or my kids. And I'm going to tell you, it's an incredible, if you are a person who is, I work at a job that's in the public eye almost all the time.
Right.
I work with people. If you work with people or you work with something where your work follows you home or anything like that, Legos can be an incredibly zen moment. And I think that's really why I've liked them so much, is because I can switch my brain off for a while for 2 or 3 hours and I can just follow the directions and I can just put together this thing that, and it's just incredibly calming. Put on some music, get some coffee or a Coke and just sit down and build a Lego set, and just have fun with it. But if you're a person out there and you're thinking this is something I'm going to be, interested in getting into, understand that you are going to pay the premium tax.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to pay the Lego tax when you buy these things. Like I said earlier, they're kind of the Apple of toys.
It's such an appropriate statement.
They may not do it better, but they were the first, and they do it the best.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by when you think about smartphones, they're not the last smartphone that will ever be made. There's going to be tons of more, but they were first. And in my opinion, they do it best.
Well, that's why they're called opinions.
Right. I'm just saying. I'm not discounting that there's been other innovations and better ideas and better implementations since then. It's just they're Lego.
Right.
And they're Apple.
Right.
So because of the stigma surrounding the name, even they could charge you more just based on that.
Right, because it's got their name on it.
Exactly. That's why, you could go buy your kid an alarm clock. My daughter wants this Harley Quinn alarm clock, from the Lego movie, and I can go buy her an alarm clock for $5 at Walmart, or I can go buy the $30 Harley Quinn alarm clock that looks like a minifigure.
Right.
Which one do I want to buy? I want to buy her the $5 one.
Right.
I want to be take your pink alarm clock and like it,
Right.
But now she's like, Daddy, I want the Harley Quinn one.
Yeah.
Because it's Harley Quinn. Because, they've made Harley Quinn into a hero for 5-year-olds.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Anyway, That's a whole nother podcast for a whole nother day. But that's kind of my story, and then of course, just from the whole love of Lego and everything else comes the movies, and
Right.
and two, because of kids. I mean, the Lego movie was not on my radar. Admittedly, even though I love Legos, it wasn't on my radar. And then I went to the theater to see it because of my kids, and went, oh my gosh, this is brilliant. One of the funniest movies I've ever watched in my
I
life.
love Chris Pratt, and I haven't even watched the movie yet.
Oh, dude. Okay, well, you do that this week. Do it for me.
Okay.
Do it for me.
We have it like we have a hard drive full of movies, and we have it.
There are so many quotable things from that movie. It's such a weird sense of humor, and just you will love it. You will love it.
As we're sort of wrapping up a little bit, I have a few questions for you.
Okay.
First off, the one I was going to ask a few minutes ago, it seems like you at least are more interested in the minifigs than the actual sets. So do you actually get that thrill from building the set, or do you get your thrill mostly from like, oh, there's this minifig inside the set? Like, what is it that drives you to pick up a set?
I think it's kind of both. Like, I want that minifigure, and I want the minifig. I want to be able to display it because I keep most of my minifigs outside the build, so people can see them. And I'm like, there's a huge drive, or was until I completed them, to have that original trilogy main cast. Like,
yes.
I've got to have C-3PO. I've got to have R2-D2. I've got to have Han and Chewie, and I've got to have Luke and Vader and Obi-Wan. I need these characters. Same thing with the Avengers. Like, oh man, I need this, or this. Oh, this has a cool Spider-Man. I need Spider-Man, or this is Ghost Rider. I need a Lego Ghost Rider.
Is there a Ghost Rider Lego?
Yes.
Oh God.
It's Spider-Man, Ghost Rider on a flaming motorcycle, and the Hobgoblin.
Shut up.
Go to Walmart.
Shut up right now.
Go to Walmart right now.
Oh my goodness.
And
You're
then,
gonna make me go spend money. Oh, that sounds really.
The Doctor Strange Lego set. Like, I was like,
up.
I can have Doctor Strange. I could do this. And so, like, there's that, but then there's also the element of like, man, I really wanted the Millennium Falcon. Like, I didn't want it just for Han and Chewie. I wanted it because it's the Falcon, man. It's the TIE Fighter. It's the X-Wing. It's the Battle of Takodana.
Yeah.
Or it's the Ghost from Star Wars Rebels. Now the Marvel sets, not so much. Like, now I'm glad I have the Quinjet. But like, there's not a lot of Marvel sets that I look at and go, oh man, there's such and such.
Right. It's not as iconic.
Yeah. Like, there's one out right now that just totally I don't understand. It's the Hulk versus Red Hulk, and She-Hulk versus Red She-Hulk, and they're in like monster trucks. And I'm like, what? Why?
Why are they?
Why are you in? Hey, can you hang on just a second?
Sure.
I'm sorry. Is there a way you can pause the recording?
Go ahead.
I've got to go answer something.
You're fine.
Hey man, I'm sorry to interrupt like that.
Hey, don't worry about it.
We have a Tuesday Bible study here at church at 10 o'clock, and somehow the door got locked and people couldn't get in, and they were ringing the doorbell like crazy.
I got you.
And then I went out there, and it's my wife and kids. So that's why they ring the doorbell that much.
I get what you're saying. Like, it is a matter of like, at least the sets are a matter of value, sentimental value. In a sense.
It is, and I honestly think that it's an either or. There are some sets that I want to buy just because of the minifigures, and because I look at them and go, well, the set piece or the ship is not interesting.
Sure.
But here's what I find. Okay, here's the funny part about that is Marvel sets I buy for minifigures. Mm-hmm. Star Wars sets I usually buy for ships.
There you go.
Because, like, again, there's just not a lot of those iconic Marvel ships. Like, oh man, there's Spider-Man's helicopter.
Don't they have the helicarrier though?
Yeah,
but that's
the $300 set. I did buy the one for my son, and I bought it for him, and I didn't buy it for me, and I wish I had this Christmas. He wanted the scene from it's kind of a recreation of the scene from Civil War with Spider-Man at the airport where they're fighting and the tanker truck explodes.
Yeah.
So it has like Hawkeye on a motorcycle, and
isn't that the one that has Giant Man in it too?
the new Spider-Man. No, there's actually an airport set that has Giant Man.
Okay. So I'm
And
thinking of a different one.
what's funny about that set, and I know this is an aside, but like you literally use smaller bricks to build a giant minifigure with moving arms and legs.
Isn't that kind of meta though?
It is, and it's so like I'm building this, and I'm like, and then it also has this really, really tiny, like almost like, I mean, it's almost the size of like a pill, Ant-Man.
Oh yeah.
That you could put in this hole in the side of the building, and like he shoots out of it like he's doing something.
That's cool.
But like it's an airport control tower.
Sure.
But to me, that like the Avengers Tower was another one I bought. Like they had an Avengers Tower set, Age of Ultron, and it came with like Ultron Mark 1 and another Iron Man, because they all come with Iron Man, and Thor and a couple others, and it had like the robots that Ultron controls, you know, at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Or that the Avengers are trying to use in Sokovia. And I bought that one because it's number one, because it was Avengers Tower. But number two, because hey, it had Ultron, and it had those others, you know, that I don't have.
Right.
So I think it's a give and take, but again, it allows me to be choosy, because if I can, like I said, bricks and minifigs, if I can run down the road and I can get a minifigure down there, you know, an hour and a half away, sure, it costs me gas, but if I'm down that way and I can pick up Hawkeye for $11, then I'm going to do that, because I'm never going to buy a set with Hawkeye in it, just because I'm not my favorite character.
It's okay.
You know, not my favorite character.
So
he is the least Avenger to me.
He's the least avenged. So what is the best part of Lego for you?
I'm gonna split it between two things. Number one, I think it's the initial build. I think it's the fun of the build. It's the challenge of that. Because I mean, if you've ever built a Lego set, you know that like the directions aren't always exactly great.
No,
you know what I mean?
They're not. Sometimes they like it's almost like they skip a step. Almost.
Right?
They don't highlight that like, oh, we've added extra Legos underneath here that you didn't do in the last step. And it's always like when you turn the page too. It's never like it's never in the when both pages are folded out. You have to turn the page, and it's like, wait, where did all these Legos come from?
Well, it's like, okay, gather up 6 Legos and then make it look like this. Like, it doesn't tell you where to put them. It just shows the picture of it, you know? So I think it's the build. That's number one. But I think for me too, it's kind of the display.
Okay.
Like
the trophy.
There's a part of me, very small, but it's still there, that likes it when people walk into my office at church and go, wow.
Yeah.
Like Legos. I'm like, yeah, I do. You know, especially in the case of the Sandcrawler, like, because I could look at that and I could say, man, you know, they really do like me here. You know, on those days when I maybe don't feel great or whatever, I'm like, yeah, you know, they do kind of love me. But two, it's like it's part of it is like an expression of personality, you know, and different things like that. I mean, like with any collection, you know, why do you display those things? Well, you want people to see them. You're proud of them.
Right.
This is who I am, you know, and that's one thing, you know, as an almost 37-year-old guy, I'll be turning 37 in about a month. I'm not ashamed of this. You know, I'm not ashamed that my office is full of toys and movie posters, and you know, it's got Spider-Man on my wall and Luigi on the other.
I would be the first person to say that I am so glad we live in the age where I don't have to be embarrassed that all I watch is cartoons and I play video games. But that is all I do.
Thank you. Thank you.
But when our parents were our age, you know, they would have gotten beaten up at school because, you know.
Oh, man, you said you got about 10 years on me. Man, I lived through the 80s. I mean, I lived through a time where when Superman died in the comic books.
I said you had 10 years on me. That's what I said.
Yeah, okay. That's what I meant. That's what I mean. I got 10 years on you. I remember like buying this shirt at my local comic book shop, which was crazy that I had a local comic book shop in the area that I lived in.
Sure.
Which was also small. But they had the shirt, you know, with all the DC characters around Superman's casket as they walked it down the street in Metropolis, you know.
Yeah.
And on the back it said, "Where were you when Superman died?" Which I thought was a super cool shirt.
That's awesome.
Nobody else thought that was super cool. And so I lived through my days until the point where I just hung it up, and I was like, well, I'm not aware of this anymore. I mean, I remember I don't know if Do you remember the very first game you ever pre-ordered?
Smash Brawl,
Really?
I think.
See, the very first game. Well, let me rephrase that question. The very first game to ever have a publicized release date in the United States, I think, and I may be wrong on this.
Wait,
Maybe just
wait.
because
Are you saying like?
I
Are you quizzing
like
me like as like a
no,
historical
like
fact?
I'm just saying this. Like I think it's Sonic 2.
Yes, it was.
Okay, because they had Sonic Tuesday.
Yes,
Okay.
I've gotten that far in console wars.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I think that was the very first one. I remember pre-ordering Sonic 2 and getting a T-shirt for that.
Yeah.
It said, you know, and it was probably not the best shirt, but it had like a big 2 and Sonic and Tails on it, and it said
That's
something
all that
about Sonic
matters.
Tuesday. And I just remember being made fun of so badly because of that shirt. You know, like, oh,
See,
it's Sonic Tuesday.
This reminds me. I have
Care about it, and
one of
I
my
think
one of my favorite T-shirts I own is a black shirt, and it's got Samus, the 8-bit original Samus, shooting, one of her power beams, and there are Mario bricks and Mario coins on the shirt. And
right.
when I wear that, I get people that look at me and go, "That's not correct."
Yeah.
And I say, "You're right, it's not. But this is a promotional T-shirt that you could only get through Club Nintendo. That was for NES Remix."
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so that is like one of my favorite shirts. But every time I wear it, I get somebody that's like, "That's not right. What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Or, "I thought you were a gamer." And I'm like, "Look at my sleeve. It says NES Remix. Like I am a I thought you were a gamer because you would have known this."
If you were a gamer, you would have obviously known. But no, I mean, I think just kind of looping that back in that this is it can be a point of pride for people to display collections like that. And
Totally.
I mean, this is what I'm about. This is who I am. I don't make any apologies for that. You know, I moved all my books to my bottom shelves because I wanted to put Legos up top because I wanted people to see them.
Look,
I'm
dude.
proud of these things. Like, you know, and like I'm a youth pastor. I'm also a children's pastor. Like I work with 18 and under. So I have kids come into my office and I feel like if they need to talk about something or they need to do something, that helps put them at ease and it gives us a talking point. Like I have kids coming all the time. "Oh man, look at your Legos." You know, I'm like, yeah, you look at them, but you don't touch them.
That's right.
And I've told my friends, you know, like we have home Legos and we have daddy's office Legos.
That's right.
Uh,
These home Legos are a random hobbledegob in a bucket, and you can play with
Yes.
those all you want.
Well, my son has some Minecraft Legos, and there's one set of those that has stayed together, which is the mine. It's like the big one, but like I'll go in there every now and then, and there's like Spider-Man hanging off the top of it, fighting, a fired worker, a firefighter,
Yeah.
and the Green Goblin and Batman. So, but like I love that because like when I was little. When I was his age, you know, he's 9. He's going to turn 10 this coming Sunday. Like I didn't have that creativity that he does, and I think that taps into that. Like I love that Lego taps into that. We've really enjoyed as bad as the Wii U version of Lego Dimensions has been, and I realized that only toward the end of its lifespan because like I've actually seen other versions of of it on like PlayStation 4, which I wish we had bought instead of. But we bought the Wii U because it has the exclusive on-pad split screen. That's the only
Yeah.
that's the only system that has that, even if it does it badly. I just mean like the total quality of the graphics and frame rate issues and stuff like
Sure.
that. That just like we've loved Lego Dimensions because it has allowed us as a family to play something together that we all enjoy. You know, my wife likes Lego games. I love Legos. The kids love Legos. We got the Lego Batman set, which will probably be the last Lego Dimension thing we buy, you know?
Yeah.
The new, like the Lego Batman movie.
Right.
And it came with Robin and Batgirl. And my daughter, she was like, "Batgirl? Yes!" You know, she was so excited that Batgirl was in there. And they love Robin, both of them. So it's been really good. I hate to see that. And I think it's just commentary. I don't think it's Lego Dimensions per se. I think it's just commentary on Toys to Life. I think it's dying, I think. And it's like anything, you know, Activision gets a hold of it and runs it into the ground, just like music games and Call of Duty and everything else.
To be fair, Activision had one good thing they ever did, and that was the Tony Hawk Pro Skater series.
That's true. Now, see, we like Skylanders in my house.
Oh,
Well,
well,
Skylanders.
that's a different podcast.
Skylanders is the OG, and will always have a place in my heart for good gaming memories with me and my son.
Sure.
Like, you know.
Now
I don't
before we get too far,
but anyway, I know.
What is the worst part about Legos?
The price. It's got to be the price. And I will tell you this: the and having to say no to sets that look really cool because you don't have room for them, and you don't want to tear down anything. Like, you don't want to get rid of anything. You don't want to say
you don't want to take it apart and rebuild it.
Right. Well, I probably never would rebuild it, just to be honest. Like,
Really?
it would probably go in a bin. Yeah, because I'd forget how. I don't keep the instructions.
What?
I toss them, man. You can find those things on the internet. We have this magical tube thing called the internet now that you can find anything you want. So, yeah. Now, I did keep like.
That's so funny because you being a Nintendo guy, I would assume if you have older Nintendo games, you are proud of the manuals. If you have any of the older manuals for Nintendo games.
Yeah. I'm not a retro collector. Actually, I'm a trader. I'm sorry. No, I've just disappointed you. Just for maybe to level that out, I traded in my NES games and things when I was like 13 or 14 years old. So, yeah, I know. Do I wish I could go back and have them all
It's
again?
okay. I made a really bad trade one day. I traded in like Kirby's Adventure for the Game Boy so I could buy a Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks action figure. And I immediately, like as soon as I opened the figure, immediately I had full regret. I regret.
Well, let me tell you this. I traded in the remnants of my and probably all of my SNES collection for the Game Boy Advance.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was it the SP at least?
No.
Oh, dude.
It was the original frost colored.
You couldn't even play that under fluorescent lighting. Like,
I know. Listen,
anyway.
Hey, I'm fully aware of the mistakes I've made in my life, and I've repented. There's
intelligence and wisdom are two different things.
You're exactly right, and that's why I was so on the hunt for the NES Classic when it first came out, because I was like, I want my children to experience these games the way they're meant to be played.
Yes, sir. With
these controllers and different things like that. So I'm hoping for the SNES Classic. So
yep.
No, definitely the price, man. I mean, if you want, like, I really want the Lego Death Star, but I also really would like to save $400.
I would like to say that, like, I have maybe 5 different sets of Legos right now. And they are all Star Wars.
Uh-huh.
And I just realized one of my sets has C-3PO, so there's that.
Nice.
It was actually the escape capsule. That it came
yeah.
Came with C-3PO and R2-D2.
Yeah, and like a Jawa too, right?
No,
okay.
it came with 2 sand troopers and a speeder bike.
Yeah.
So it was actually a pretty big set.
That's actually really nice.
Yeah. I like that one, but the one that I have literally always had my eye on is the Super Star Destroyer. And for me, I just want to build it. Even if I don't get to keep it, I literally just want to sit there and build the damn thing.
Did you see the video? Like, I think it was a couple of years ago. It was an April Fool's or something. And it was like somebody slow motioned dropped a Star Wars the Super Star Destroyer Lego and watched it, like filmed it in super slow-mo exploding all over the floor.
That pains me.
It was very painful to watch. There's a local video game store here, like just a little mom and pop used, kind of, it's called Nerdvana. Nice. They do a lot of things. They do like retro games and board games and comics and things. They have a Super Star Destroyer on display that belongs to the owner. Yeah, it's
Don't you love walking in somewhere, and this happened to me a couple months ago, probably about a year ago at this point, when you walk in somewhere and see something and you literally gush, like you kind of turn into jelly when you see something, and they're like, "Oh, well, that's display only. It belongs to the owner of the store. We are not interested in selling it for any reason or any capacity."
Yeah.
That happened to me at a used game store where they had a Virtual Boy sitting up on on top of a desk. Now, I'm fully aware of what the Virtual Boy is and how people feel about it. That doesn't bother me. I am a Nintendo guy, and I wanted one. And I was like, how much do you want for it? And he's like, well, I think one of the lenses is broken. I don't care. How much do you want for it? Sorry, it's not for sale.
Well, you saved yourself migraine headaches.
Nope,
So,
I didn't, because I turned around and bought one that was in perfect condition a few months later.
It's like stabbing yourself in the side of the head with an ice pick
I
repeatedly
like
and
it.
saying, this is fun.
I've played it for several hours. I like it. I actually like it.
Okay.
But
kudos to you then. But
I'm
yeah,
the minority.
totally price is definitely the biggest hassle, I think.
Gotcha. Well, we have talked a lot about Lego. The last question. We'll try not to go too far over, because I know you have to get back to work is primarily the reason. Legoland. Thoughts on Legoland?
I've been to the Legoland in the mall, in 2 places.
That's not Legoland.
Well, it's called Legoland or Lego Discovery Center.
Okay.
It's basically a theme park in a mall that leads you to a Lego store where your kids will beg you to buy. No, I'm serious. Like, it comes out in the middle of the Lego store.
That's funny.
I don't know that I would ever take a trip there unless, like, if we're going to take a trip and it's going to be kid oriented, we're going to Disney. We went back in 2013. We're going to go again, but more power to them. I think that's cool that they have that, and because I know there's some kids who are like super Lego obsessed, and like that's their thing.
Now, to be fair, I went when I was a kid, and it's pretty much just a bunch of Lego stuff set up.
Nice.
Like, yeah, I mean, like, you walk. That's kind of the reaction you have when you walk in. It's just like, oh, cool.
Well, there's been some more, like, I like the emphasis they've kind of placed on the community aspect of it in recent years. Like, there's been like some traveling shows, that'll come to like your local arena or conference center, and they'll have like Lego build, and they'll have like the special like giant builds, and they'll have resellers, and they'll have all kinds of Lego activities all day long. I think that's cool. They've kind of embraced the family aspect of it, and I think probably because like Nintendo, in a way, those original users are now parents.
Yep.
So let's hook the whole family in, not just
and those original users now have that disposable income.
Exactly.
Yep.
So there's that. We've gone to 2 of the Discovery Centers, one of them in Dallas, Texas at the Grapevine Mall, and one of them in Atlanta. I definitely recommend the Dallas one over the Atlanta one.
Oh, really?
They're pretty similar in the activities, but the Atlanta one you could tell was a little bit older and was probably one of the first ones. The Dallas one was fantastic. And of course I may be looking at that one through rose-colored lenses too, because we were in Texas on vacation. We got a phone call that morning that my grandmother had just passed, who I was really close to.
Yeah.
And we started to drive back this direction, which is like a 12-hour drive, and we already had tickets to go to Legoland, and they were non-refundable.
Oh.
And so I called my dad, and I was like, I'm like, we're trying to get there to you guys, and we're going to drive all night, and what should I do? And he's like, that your grandmother would hate you to deprive those kids of anything. Or
deprive yourself of, grandparents are like that. They understand. They would have. Many grandparents are so selfless. They would have rather have you gone to your thing than.
Well, and the whole thing and that's what, like, my whole concern was to get home for my dad, because he had
I got you.
He had actually been like, he found her as she was dying,
man.
Like died in his arms type thing, which is crazy.
That's rough.
Terrible. And I wanted to be there for him. But he was like, we want you to go ahead and take the kids and do that. And that way, over these next few days, they at least have something they can, because we had to cut our vacation short and all kinds of other stuff. So he's like, give them something, that they
at least
can look back on, So we went to the Grapevine Mall, and we hit up In-N-Out, and we burger.
Oh.
And be jealous. We hit up
You just
In-N-Out
made me
burger.
really hungry.
We went to the Lego store and had a blast, had a really good time. Spent like Because I mean, like it's a store, but like it's not like the store's not in the middle of it, so it's not a distraction. So like all the activity stuff is behind there, so it's kind of like a little theme park in the back of the store.
Sure.
So like we went in there and lost like 4 hours.
Nice.
And the kids had a good time, and we had a good time. Everything was great, and then we got on the road and got home about 4 a.m.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but I think. I'm probably never going to go to like the actual resort of Legoland.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's not like I'm sitting over here going, man, this is a pipe dream. I got to go to Legoland. I got to go float around in the Chima Pond or whatever, they've got out there. But no, I think it's cool. Like for something for families to do. Cause I mean, like I said, Lego does mean something to my family. We've had some good times surrounding that. Some memories playing games and building sets and all kinds of stuff. So, yeah.
Well, I hate to cut it short, but I got to go pick up my son in just a second.
Yeah, awesome.
So thank you, Marty, for joining us. Don't forget that we are a brand new podcast. This podcast is all about grabbing anybody. Yeah. What is your hobby? Are you into knitting? Are you into specifically playing arcade games? Like it doesn't have to be. We talk a lot about video games. It's the second podcast we're talking about video games. You don't have to play video games. If you are into board games, if you are into things that people think are not nerdy, if like you are really into March Madness basketball or baseball, God help you, but we would love to have you on the podcast to talk to you about sports, all the sports balls or whatever, because I don't get that, like I can relate with you, Marty, because I sort of like Lego, but I cannot relate to people with sports, and that's what I wanted to do with this podcast is, if you don't know what it's like to be a fan of Lego, we talk with somebody who's a fan of Lego, So anyway, thanks, Marty, for joining us, and everyone else, we will see you guys later on. Don't forget to check out Nintendo Dads Podcast, one of the best Nintendo podcasts that you can listen, if not the best. You guys are great. I love the... It is more casual fan, almost like fans putting it together, but I like that. It is it's very fan centered, and it's fun to listen to. So if you are into Nintendo in any capacity, I love listening to you guys because occasionally you guys do have a rumor that I have not seen on Reddit or NeoGAF already. So sometimes you guys have the scoop. But and you guys are tied with so many other people in the community, Sean Capri and Dave and Johnny Casino, everything like that. You guys are in the Bit Block. You guys are tied into so many other people in the community that every once in a while somebody else will come on and dang it, there's another podcast I have to add to my repertoire of weekly.
Yeah,
stupid
I know
podcasts.
exactly what you're saying, man. Community connections are the key. Community connections are the key, and that's really what we want to be. We just want to be the community Nintendo podcast. That it's like a group of friends sitting around chatting and bring the parenting perspective to it as well. And so I really appreciate you asking me to be on the show today.
I appreciate you being here. Thanks a lot, Marty.